Hey guys, welcome back to my travel mini album tour. If you watched my first video, then you've already seen my introduction to this album and sort of the supplies that I used, the cover page, and then the first trip, which was in February to Houston and Galveston. So today I'm going to show you our second trip and my second set of spreads, which were to San Francisco and sort of the California coast back in April. So again, I went ahead and put the date stamp on here, and like I said in my last video, I don't really want it to be prominent most of the time what the date was, but I do want it to be on there for reference in case I can't remember someday. So this is a Heidi Swap date stamp, and if you can see it well, you can tell that it's just the regular numbers, and then the month is written in a sort of script font, which is kind of fun. So I just stamped those with StazOn onto some strips of vellum that I had just as packaging for something that I had purchased. You'll see that a lot, that I just use a lot of random packaging and pieces of paper and vellum and whatever that came from something else that I just didn't want to throw away. So if you have scraps like that, it's easy to use them, and I recommend holding on to them if you can. As you can see in this first spread, the first page is a double 4x6 page, and the second here is another one of those quadruple 3x4s. So the top picture here is a view from the plane on our way to San Francisco. It was really pretty, and I didn't know if I wanted to add anything to it, but I feel like on the first page I kind of need to say where we went. Otherwise it might be a little ambiguous that we're switching from one place to another. So even though I didn't put San Francisco on here, I went ahead and stamped destination just on this piece of scrap paper, and that was with Kelly Perky, one of her travel sets, which I'll link below because I can't ever remember which one is which. And then this little bridge, which is also from one of her travel sets, because this is San Francisco and they're known for the Golden Gate Bridge. So in the second picture below, we're actually in front of the bridge, and you can only sort of see it, but I just really like this picture because Casey just looks so happy. So anyway, so it's just a picture of the two of us, and I'm using the same washi tape that I used throughout the other spreads, and I just used it throughout the entire album, and it's just white with some black plus signs and then a couple copper plus signs every now and again. It's pretty neutral, and it's worked well throughout the album, and I got that at Hobby Lobby. I stamped photo op right here and cut it out, and then I tiny attached it to the picture. That's another Kelly Perky stamp. If you saw my Houston video, you'll know that I got these die cuts from American Crafts, and they were in the sales section at Hobby Lobby, and I couldn't pass them up a long time ago, and I finally have a use for them now. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to put this, and I didn't like anything that I came up with until I saw something, I think that Studio Calico posted, where they had made a tag. Somebody on there makes tags a lot, and I thought that could be a good way to add it. So I got these tags at Target. I think the brand is U Brands, but it was near the school supply section, and it's just kind of a craft paper tag, and then I put a strip of washi tape here at the top, and it's black and white with hearts, and it came in one of the A Beautiful Mess Messy Box kits, and I liked that it was just black and white, and it kind of went with everything else on this page. And then I had put the California on the craft paper, and I just didn't really like the way that it looked without something behind it, and so I used another piece of this graph paper background, which I think is just packaging from a Kelly Perky stamp kit, but it could be packaging from something else. Anyway, so I just put that in the background, and I think that helped me like it more. The black and white just works a little better for me. And then over here I cut two strips. These are definitely from Kelly Perky packaging. She just has this orange and white stripe thing that's added to her branding. And so I cut those out and kind of overlapped them and then tiny attached them here. And you can see I didn't want them to be even. And I'm really happy with the way that that turned out, actually. And then I added another one of these geotag cardstock stickers from the Becky Higgins kit, which I use on my cover page if you watched my first video. So I really like the way the front of that looks. And then on the back I decided to do some journaling, and I don't really love the way that it looks, and I don't love that you can see the staples, but for now I'm just going to leave it. But I basically just wanted to put some journaling in here saying, like, we haven't been to California before this trip, and this is kind of what we did. And so I may change it later, but for now it works fine. The second page here is the quadruple 3x4, excuse me. All of these pictures were kind of had this like greenish yellow hue to them, and I just thought they were really pretty and they worked really well together. But there is kind of a lot going on, so I didn't add a lot to these photos. So the first one, this is just a pagoda in the Japanese tea garden in San Francisco, and so all I added to this one was this strip of washi tape. It's the same washi tape, and then I stamped relaxation, which is from another Kelly Berkey travel stamp set, and then I tiny attached it. This is a piece of art from the De Young Museum, which we were not a fan of, really. It was kind of overpriced, and the people who worked there weren't very nice to us, but there was still some pretty art there, so I wanted to include something related to the art, and I really liked this painting. So I didn't do anything to that. And then here at the bottom, this is some flowers from the Conservatory of Flowers, which is awesome. If you go to San Francisco, you should visit it. It's really neat. It's a super old Victorian greenhouse, and it's gorgeous. And they had all these lovely orchids and things in there. So I didn't add anything to that picture either. Again, I just printed these straight from my phone with the Canon Selfie app, because that's the printer that I'm currently using. If you want to hear more about that, you can listen in the first video as well. The last picture here is just a picture of me in the Japanese tea garden. And then I stamped The World is My Oyster, which is another Kelly Berkey travel stamp. If you're seeing a trend here, you'll know that most of my current stamps are Kelly Berkey stamps, so I'll link those all in below so you know which ones I used. And then I tiny attached it here, so clearly I didn't do a lot to this, but I really like the way that it looks. This next page here, we have the back of the quadruple 3x4, and then this one was actually a 6x8 pocket. And I think in one of Kelly Berkey's videos, she does something similar with, I don't know, some kind of ticket or something. And she just staples it into this pocket, and I think she calls it like a peekaboo look, and I thought that I just really, for some reason, wanted to keep these Muni passes, so I decided to do that. So this is actually a 6x8 pocket. So back to that first page. The first picture here is of the bridge in San Francisco, and the only thing that I did was add 2 strips of washi tape and then stamp Explore, which is another Kelly Berkey stamp, and I tiny attached it. The second picture here is of a crepe that I had in Japantown in San Francisco, and it was really cute. They made it into a little bear or something, I don't know what it is, but we met Gina and her husband. She blogs over at Pink Wings, and we met up there and had some crepes and talked, and that was really fun, so I wanted to put something in here related to that. So I didn't change the photo at all, just printed it from my phone. The next one here is a cruffin, which we tried at Mr. Holmes Bakehouse, and it's San Francisco, I don't know, kind of a famous food that you can try there. And I'm gonna be real and say we did not know actually what a cruffin was, because it kind of sounds like it's a croissant muffin, but it's a croissant muffin shape with kind of like a filling in the middle. And Casey and I really don't like filled anything, like donuts and stuff like that, and I don't like pudding at all, so we were not fans of the cruffin, but we still tried it, and it was kind of fun. I like the picture of it, and I like that the green is kind of the same color as this Muni Pass. So anyway, I did want to include it even though it wasn't my favorite thing. So I typed in here Mr. Holmes Bakehouse in quicksand, all caps, and then cruffin in elephant, all caps, just so I could remember what it was someday if I forget. The bottom picture is a picture of the Mission in San Francisco, and it's gorgeous. It's really beautiful, and I'm very glad that we went to visit it. And so I couldn't really bear to put anything on the picture, but I wanted to make sure it was included. And I liked it that the blue, you know, carries itself across. So again, this is a 6x8 pocket, and I don't have any 6x8 pictures right now. So like I said, I saw in a video Kelly Perky do something sort of similar with a peekaboo kind of thing behind it, is what she called it, I think. And so I think these Muni passes are funny because you either have to pay individually when you take the public transportation, or you can get a pass. And so we bought this pass, and then no one ever asked to see it the whole time that we were there. And so it was just kind of funny. And we, you know, we didn't want to not pay for it because that didn't seem very honest. But we just had to laugh at, like, no one ever looking at these. So I thought that someone should look at them, and I'm going to put them in my planner, or not planner, in my album. So anyway, I did like that they were green too, because I really like green, and I think that's kind of pretty. So this one I did closed, and then I did this one open, so that way you can see kind of how it works, and it's like a scratcher. And I just think it looks kind of interesting, and I don't have a lot of pieces of paper that are mementos that aren't just a photo in here, so I kind of like that this gave me something else to put in this book. I do not like the way the backside looks though, so I may end up doing something here, but I don't really know what yet, so I'm just kind of leaving it alone for now. Okay, so the next page is another quadruple 3x4, excuse me. The first picture here is a picture of me at the pier with the sea lions, and they were so stinky and funny, and they kept fighting and swimming, and it was so amusing to me. And so I really like this picture because I'm just smiling really big, and I think it's fun. It's a fun memory. So I put in some washi tape here, the same washi tape, the only one I've used so far, I think. And then on the grid, again, I think this is packaging, I stamped "We Loved This," which is another Kelly Perky stamp. The second picture is of burgers that we had one night for dinner. So I just put this into PowerPoint and typed "Super Duper Burger," because that's the name of the place, in elephant, all caps again. Didn't do anything else to it. And then this bottom picture here is from the Ferry Building, which is a market kind of place in San Francisco, which I really loved, and I love markets so much. It's one of my favorite things when we're traveling. So these were some pretty flowers that we saw there, and I thought they were really lovely, and they kind of have this nice green that kind of goes with this green here. So I wanted to include that, and I didn't do anything to it. The last picture is a picture of me and Casey at the Japanese garden again, and I just really like the picture of the two of us, but I also had this sticker, and it's kind of see-through, so I went ahead and I put the sticker on white cardstock first, and then I cut it out, so that way it had a little bit more dimension to it when I stuck it down. But it came from something that I found on clearance at Michael's, and I think it was like a Heidi Swap Instax sticker set. And I don't have an Instax camera, but I just like the way some of the stickers looked, and they were really inexpensive, so I went ahead and purchased a couple of them. And it says "I Love Us," which makes me laugh because in that movie 500 Days of Summer, I don't know if you've seen it, but we really like that movie, and there's a part where he's reading a greeting card and just says "I love us," and everyone gives him a lot of praise for coming up with that wording, but it's just kind of silly, and so it always makes me and Casey laugh when anyone says that or when we see it. And so I just thought it was kind of a funny little sticker to put on this picture of the two of us. The next page is another quadruple 3x4 and then a double 3x4 with a 4x6. This is the point in our trip when we actually went out to Silicon Valley and visited with our friends Mary and Eric. They're from Brazil, and Mary and I met when we were like 15 years old and we were in high school. She was an exchange student, so getting to go visit her and her husband was really nice, just to get to catch up with them and kind of see where they live. So this is not in San Francisco anymore, but this first picture is from Google, and they have these multicolored Google bikes that you can ride around the Google campus if you want to. There's a picture of Eric on this bike, and I used 2 strips of the washi tape there, and then I stamped bike with a little bike on it, which is another Kelly Perky stamp, and then I tiny attached it here. The second picture is from Brazilian barbecue that we went to with Mary and Eric because they really wanted to take us for Brazilian barbecue, and they don't go unless they have company because it's expensive. It's really expensive. But we wanted to try that with them, so we did. And so it was kind of dark in the restaurant, so I didn't get a ton of really great photos, but I wanted to include it because it was, an important part of our trip. So I just typed in Brazilian barbecue at the bottom here in PowerPoint again, and then there's a picture of Mary and Eric, and so I just typed Mariana and Eric on there. And this last picture, I didn't do anything to it, but it's of some of the Google Android statues from the Google campus, and they choose a dessert that starts with the letter of the Android edition that they're on. So like the Android H is the honeycomb, and Android C is the cupcake. And so I just thought they were really cute and fun, and I wanted to include some pictures of those in my scrapbook here. This next one here is a picture of me in front of the cupcake Android statue, and I just thought it was really cute, so I wanted to include that as well. And I did 2 strips of washi tape, and then I cut down a 3x3, I think it was a 3x3 card from one of the A Beautiful Mess Messy Box kits, and it said OMG cake, and so I thought that was probably the perfect thing to put on this page, but it was just a little bit too big, so I cut it down and then I tiny attached it. And then, again, the green kind of works well there. This picture is of the chapel at Stanford because we went to visit the Stanford campus, and it was really beautiful. There were tons of people out there, so we didn't get too close, and I think they were doing something inside, so we didn't actually go inside, but I wanted to include a picture of it. And so I typed in Stanford so that way I could remember that was where we went. This picture at the bottom is of me and KC, and I just added some washi tape and then stamped On The Go, which is another Kelly Perky stamp, and then I tiny attached it to the bottom. This next page, you can tell, is super blue. Everybody really likes these pages when I'm showing my book to people because it's just so pretty and serene and blue. But as you can probably tell, we took a mini road trip out to the coast, and we went to Carmel and Big Sur with Mary and Eric, which was really fun. And since we're from Kansas, we always like any chance to see the ocean and the water, and we always really enjoy that, so I was really glad that we did it. As you can see, these are both double 3x4s and single 4x6 pages. This first picture here is a picture of me and Carmel on the beach, and I just typed in Carmel by the sea in PowerPoint. This second picture is a picture of Casey and I's feet because we tend to take a lot of feet pictures when we travel, and so this is no exception, and I wanted to include one in this book. And then this is another one of those kind of transparent stickers that I mounted on white cardstock from the Heidi Swapp Instax clearance stickers that I found. And I liked that it was blue because it kind of coordinates a little bit with this and it's not too out there. And it says, "I am so in like with you," which is true. So I just went ahead and put it on there. This picture is a picture of me and Casey in Big Sur. And I just really love it because it's I mean, this is just a beautiful place, so it's hard to hate any of these pictures. But yeah, so I didn't do anything to it because it was great the way that it was. This next page, I have a picture of me and Mariana on the beach, and you know, we met 10 years before this trip, and I just think that's a crazy long time to be friends with someone and keep in touch with them while they live in different countries. And she came to our wedding, and you know, now we've been out to visit them, and so it's just really nice to have a friend for such a long time and not feel like we lost anything over those years. So I just typed in 10 years later on here just to kind of give it a little bit of a timestamp sort of thing, because I'm so grateful for her friendship. This next picture is a picture of Mary and Eric, and he was just being kind of silly. I think he's biting her hat in that picture, but I liked it, so I included it. This bottom picture is kind of funny because I actually ended up touching that piece of paper before I put it in the printer. And if you've seen them before, one side is glossy for photos and the other side is not. And you're not supposed to touch the glossy side. And apparently I did. So when it printed, it had like a bunch of fingerprints here, which obviously didn't look great, but I didn't want to waste the whole picture. So I decided to go ahead and add something stamped to it. So I used some grid packaging again, and then I did explore and then wide open spaces. So explore, wide open spaces, and then this little like sign guidepost kind of thing, which are all Kelly Perky stamps again. And then I tiny attached it, and it's kind of big. I probably wouldn't have made it that big if it weren't for the fact that my fingerprints were all over this picture, but I think it works out. It's really not that abrasive, I guess. Let's see, this is my last page for this particular trip. These pictures are they're all from Big Sur, which is so beautiful. If you have a chance to go out there, do it, but make sure you go with someone who's comfortable driving around those sea cliffs because it is unnerving, but it's worth it. So this picture, this first one, I guess it's a single 4x6 with a double 3x4 and then a double 4x6 pocket. And this first picture is from one of the state parks that we visited while we were out there, and it was just really beautiful. So the only thing I did was add the location to it so we could tell like that we were going from Carmel to Big Sur. And that was all I did to that one. The second one was from a beach at another state park. And I used this stamp, which is another Kelly Perky stamp, and it says Adventure. And then I used like 4 strips of washi tape underneath it and tiny attached it. This bottom picture here is a picture of KC in Big Sur, and I just really like it because I don't get a ton of pictures of just him. So I didn't do anything to that one. This top picture on the last page is another picture from the state park, and it was just really beautiful. There's like a waterfall back here, and it was just so scenic, and I didn't want to add anything to it, but then I stuck in this wooden veneer word cutout, and I think it actually works okay. It's not glued down, so I might not leave it there forever, but it certainly was epic, so I thought it was appropriate for the space. The last one here is of the beach in Big Sur at their state park, and it was just really beautiful, so I couldn't bear to add anything to it. I just love the black sand against the ocean. It's really lovely, and we saw some whales there from the beach, so it's just kind of a nice serene memory, and I wanted to include it. So that's the end of this. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And our next trip that I'll show is Savannah, Georgia. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day.